What really bothered me the most, and being in customer service for over 35 years, is stuff like this. Scary comments from sellers. Welcome to SMPostcards. Now everybody needs to get on the train, as the train is boarding. Today's special topic, I'm going to talk about postcards with trains on them. Now I'm not going to talk about depots and stations. I tried to separate that out because that's a totally separate, in my mind, postcard, because those can go for some really good money. But there are some train cards that do pretty well too, and we'll go through that after I go through the what solds. And I got 13 cards sold, so it shouldn't take too long. Nothing really amazing, but it's just bread and butter cards, filler cards. And then with the poll today, in the section where I usually do a poll, I go over the polls I put out on Saturday. I went and did some analysis on some feedback. I went out and just took random 100 postcard stores, sellers with postcards only, the ones I could find. Made sure, a few might have slipped here and there, but I was pretty careful about making sure they only sold postcards. Might be a few other ephemera things in there, but it was majority postcards. And I took their feedback, their positive, their negative, their neutrals, and just to break it down a little bit to see what I'm saying with some data behind it. And then I compared it to a non-postcard store. So in that section we'll go over some numbers. So 100 postcard stores compared to 100 non-postcard stores. How does feedback stack up? And what is the most common negative feedback category for postcards and non-postcards? There is a little bit of difference, and you can help me break those numbers down. And then at the end I got some viewer comments. One of them is a more personal question, the last comment. I get it a lot, and someone sent me a big paragraph, asked me questions about what I do. Oh, I just sold a postcard already. And I sold a Basin Harbor Club in Vermont for $465. So it's already starting off good. Question that one of your comments was how I got to the point in my life. And so I didn't do everything in the paragraph, and I didn't reply to everything because some of it was kind of personal. And like I've always said, if you ask too personal stuff, I won't be able to answer. But a lot of stuff is, I'll tell you, it's not personal. So I broke down a few things to tell you how I got to where I'm at and retired and stuff like that. So stick around at the end of the video for viewer comments. Those are always fun to do. It gives a little insight, and I like the comments I get on them as well, people's insights and stuff like that, not just me in this office saying things. But let's go ahead and get started and what solds. I'll go through these real quick, and then I'll break down the final numbers to let you know how I'm doing to my goals. The first card that sold is Fairmont Avenue in Fairmont, West Virginia. Always look for West Virginia. Not a big populated state. There is some cards there that do very, very well. And I'll have a video coming up on just West Virginia. I'm still doing some research on it and learning. Every time I do these videos, I learn just as much as you guys. You get snippets of what I find. Just think about, you probably get 40% of the information because the video would just be so long and probably boring. Just think about the other 60% of the information I find that I just absorb. I forget a lot of it, but it does come back. But this is the Fairmont Street. It's a divided back. You can tell on the back there. It's posted in 1907. And that sold for $465. Nothing amazing about it. Next one is the Von Steuben's headquarters, Valley Forge National Park. This is a touristy card. Probably at the tourist spot or whatever. Just a chrome card, Valley Forge. $465. Next person bought 2 cards for $10.30. Let's see what he got here. He got the Bald Peak Colony Club. Bald Peak Colony Club. Get it right. In Melvin Village, New Hampshire. Just a little swimming place and a picnic area on there. And then he got the Ballpark Club, the front of the building with the golfing and stuff like that. Right on there. So he got those 2. So it's a theme. It's a country club. One place, they picked it out, $10.30. Next one is, this one sold for $7.70. It's from album 4 of that series I did of the 8 albums, and I'm still moving forward with that. I've made all my money back a long time ago for those, and they're still selling. This is the Mount Beacon and Incline by Night. Night scenes always do well for me. $7.70. It's a linen card. It's not, even though it's got a white border, it's not a white border. I don't know if you can see, but it's got the linen look and the linen feel. So that's a linen card, even though it's got a white border. $7.70. Next one is Boating on Walt Damier Park, Erie, Pennsylvania. Very solid card. Good card stock on this one. But look at that, it's got the boats, it's got the nice look on there. Very well kept card. And that's sold for $4.65. Next one is what these are called exaggeration cards, where they take like an animal or a fruit like an apple and it's oversized on a truck and say they grow big in Maine or Maryland and stuff like that. They're called exaggeration cards. You'll find them from the early 1900s all the way to current, and this is one that is a white border, and it's the way we catch them here. Greetings from Attica, Indiana. It's fish, huge fish in a stand on there. Those are called exaggeration cards, and I have a video about the exaggeration cards. They're just normal average cards to me. Some of them can be a little different, like always. There's always those outliers to the average. They're lower or they're higher, and you just got to find them and vet them out. But majority of these are average cards, and that's an exaggeration card. Next one is just a boat. I haven't sold too many of these. This was box 38, and it's got a scalloped edge along the top. And this is the General Daniel Sultan. I got probably about 70 of these, and it's a continental size card. Pulled him out, $4.65. This is the old log courthouse where Abraham Lincoln practiced law, Fairview Park, Decatur, Illinois. Used to drive down there. Decatur's about 2 hours away from me. They had a nuclear plant and an electric thing over there. I did their phone systems down there. I used to drive down there. And that's where the Chicago Bears started. It was Decatur, Illinois. I think it's called the soybean capital of the world. When you drive down there, you get this distinct smell. I think it's beans or paper. It does have a different, but it's a nice area. And did a lot of work on there. I used to go down there a lot. Next person bought another thing, Yellowstone. Not the Yellowstone Park. This is Yellowstone, the ship USS Yellowstone, AD-27. This is one of those prints that the club printed out. It's on gloss on front, matte on back, continental size, for $4.65. And then he turned around and he found the ship cancel. Every ship has a post office on it, and if you look right back there, it's still there. That's the petty offer badge for the person that works in the mailroom, is what I'm told. When I got it from the club, I got the first, second, and third class patches, and they're in the store pretty cheap if you need some patches. But right there, that's the patch that they use, and they would stamp with the ship's name, and they usually had like a cachet, a stamp over here. This one doesn't. And this has USS Yellowstone AD-27, 1947, right on the cancel. A lot of people send a self-addressed stamped envelope to the ships, and they stamp them and mail them back to them. That's a big collection thing. And I'll be doing a video on ship cancels in the future coming up, hopefully this year or in the next year. But I sell the heck out of it. I got a couple thousand over there, and I sold them for $4.65. So this whole order was $8.37. They got the 15% discount, because 10% discount I think with two, 15% three or more. Next one is the Blessed Virgin Altar, St. Louis Cathedral. St. Louis Cathedral, look at the writing on this thing. Just a chrome card, vertical. Can't really tell when it's posted, it's got so much stuff on there. Looks like 44 or 45, so $4.65. And then this card sold for $6. Bicycling on the boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey. That's a linen card. You can just tell from back here it's a linen card. Unposted, sold for $6. And so my totals are 13 cards sold, $76.04, and my average sale price per card is $5.85. So my average sale price is going up over last year. I met my $70. I wanted to do $70 a day, which gives me about $25,500 a year in gross sales, and I want to do 14 cards a day. So I met the 70, I met the ASP, the average sale price, but I missed 14 cards a day. I missed it by one. I'm still at 13. Average for the year, I'm still at 13 cards a day. All different prices, but I'm there. And I am doing over $70 a day, and my ASP is going up. So I just need to get the number of cards, and that'll come with that. So that's what's sold. Nothing great, but it's still $70. I've had better days and lower days, I can tell you that. Now we're going to get into the special topic of postcards with trains on them. There's a lot of them out there, and we're going to break down the pricing as well. And then I'm going to go through some information here, just a little brief history about trains, and then I'm going to show you the different cars, because you're going to see these different cars on postcards. And just to get familiarized, some people probably know it, it's pretty common sense in some of them, but I'm going to go from the front of the train to the back. And there's two cars that are kind of the same, and probably train enthusiasts would know the difference. I think I got them right. But trains is a big collectible market. There's train stores. I sell them at the flea market all the time when I can get them cheap. The track, the transformers, and there's some really good money in some toy trains, Marks, American Flyer, all those that go way back. I used to be able to pick them up pretty regularly, but they've been going too high for me to resell them at the auctions at the flea market. Let's get into the trains. So trains have a rich and fascinating history that spans centuries. The origins of trains can be traced back to ancient times. Romans and Greek had carts. I read on there, I was questioning a little bit about ancient times. What do they mean? They had like these rails along the road to keep the carts from going off the road, is what they said. And so I would say back ancient times would be Roman Greek thing. They would keep them with the rails. Where early civilizations used simple forms of rail transportation, and that's what I was talking about. However, it was during the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries that trains truly came in their own. The invention of the steam engine in the early 19th century revolutionized the railroad industry. Steam-powered locomotives were used to transport goods and people over long distances, leading to rapid expansion of railways across the world. The advent of trains not only revolutionized transportation, but also played a significant role in the growth of industries, trade, and urbanization. People moving out to the suburbs. Throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, trains continued to evolve and improve. The introduction of electric and diesel-powered locomotives marked a significant shift in train technology. Electric trains offered cleaner and more efficient transportation, while diesel trains provided greater flexibility and range. The development of high-speed trains such as the Shinkansen in Japan and the TGV in France brought about a new era of rapid rail travel. When I worked over in Europe, I actually rode the high-speed trains. I was having a sandwich and soup and a Coke while this thing's running like 250 kilometers an hour. It was smooth. It was great, and they had a screen up there. It was very modern. These trains can reach over 300 kilometers per hour, making them a preferred mode of transportation for long-distance travel in many parts of the world. Yeah, they're really nice. In recent years, trains have seen further advancements with the emergence of magnetic levitation technology. These trains use magnetic fields to levitate and propel the train, eliminating the need for wheels and reducing friction. This allows for even higher speeds and smoother rides. Countries like China and Japan have made significant investments in this magnetic levitation technology, with these train lines being developed and tested for commercial use. These technology advancements not only enhance the efficiency and speed of trains, but also contribute to reducing carbon emissions and making trains travel more sustainable. Overall, the history of trains is a testament of human ingenuity and innovation. From humble beginnings to the cutting-edge technology of today, trains have played a pivotal role in shaping the modern world. They have connected cities, facilitated trade, and provide a reliable and efficient mode of transportation. As we look to the future, trains are likely to continue evolving with advancements in technology and infrastructure that will further improve their capabilities and impact on society. Train postcards are not only sought after by collectors, but also used as souvenirs and memorabilia. They can be purchased at train museums, gift shops near train stations, or online marketplaces dedicated to postcard trading and sales. eBay, different places and stuff like that. Now, train postcards, some people buy them and put them up and they think they're going to sell. They're not fast sellers on some of them, as you're going to see here in a minute. And there's so many things. There's trains on Christmas cards, there's trains and stuff that you saw go through. Those were all postcards with trains on them. What the young kids like to play with is trains. I know I played with train sets and stuff when I was young. So trains is part of the culture, but there's a lot of them. But there's a lot of different cars and stuff on a train. So I thought I wanted to learn about the differences on there. So I'm going to walk through all the train cards that I found, and I found some pictures of the different ones. So when you see them on postcards, you get an idea of what they're called, so you can use that in the title. Most of you probably already know what a caboose is or a locomotive, but what about some of these little cars in there in between those two? So let's go ahead and start with the front of the train, locomotive. And I'll put pictures on the screen here. Locomotive is the engine that provides the power to the train. It is usually positioned at the front of the train and pulls the rest of the cars. Some trains have locomotives in the front and the back because they're going up steep inclines, or they just have a lot of weight and they need the extra power. Or you'll see two locomotives on there. If you see those on a card, you want to kind of point that out maybe in the title. Freight cars. These are the cars used for transporting cargo or freight. Boxcar, a closed car with roof and doors on the sides used for general freight. So a freight car and a boxcar, I found the red one as a freight car and the green one as the boxcar, but they kind of look the same to me. So if there's any train collectors or what out there, maybe you can tell me the difference between the two. I had a hard time, maybe I got these mixed up, but they just look the same to me. Is there a difference between a freight car and a boxcar? Don't know. Then there's a tank car. And these are the ones that have been in the news, that when they derail, they have this toxic stuff in them sometimes. Not all of them, but some of them do. It's a cylindrical car used for transporting liquid and gases. And these things are big. Then the hopper car. I see these a lot around here with farms and stuff in our community at the grain elevators and stuff. Hopper car is a car with an open top used for transporting bulk materials such as coal, grain, aggregates. It has doors on bottom for unloading. And if you look along the bottom there, you'll see the little doors that can open up, and it drops down and thing, and then the augers bring it up to the elevators or other cars. Then you got your refrigerated car, reefer they call them. You see them on the roads on semi-trucks. They're called reefers. A car with refrigeration equipment used for transporting perishable goods and that require temperature control. So like your meats, your frozen stuff like that. And that's what the modern refrigerated reefer cars look like. Then you got the passenger cars. And this was interesting when I got into this one, because there's like five different ones. And I said, wow. And we're thinking about taking a train trip on Amtrak out west here in the next couple of years. And we're talking about staying on the train or getting off. And we're looking at their vacations, and we're going to work with a vacation person to see what we can get. And this was interesting to see these cars. Now, passenger cars, these are designed for carrying passengers. They come in different styles and configuration. The first one is coach car. The most common type of passenger are typically with rows of seats facing each other. You find them on subways, you find them on the trains. They're like the Greyhound bus of trains, I think. Then you got the dining car, a car equipped with a kitchen and dining area to provide meals for passengers. You'd be amazed how smooth it is eating on a train. It's pretty neat looking out the window and seeing that. And then sleeping cars, sleepers they call them. A car with private compartments or bunk beds for overnight journeys, allowing passengers to sleep on the train. Then you got the lounge car, the bar, the tavern, the club. A car with comfortable seating, often with a bar or entertainment area, providing a social space for passengers. And then you got the observation car. Kids love these. I like them. A car with large windows and an elevated seating area at the rear of the train, offering panoramic views. So you can see there, you can see out, up, and everything, the mountains. And every seat's a good view, probably. Then you got the elusive caboose, which isn't really used that much anymore. The caboose is a type of car that was traditionally found at the end of the freight train, or the end of the train. It served as a rolling office, living space for the train crew, particularly the conductor and the brakeman. Cabooses were primarily used in North America and are less commonly seen today due to advancements in technology and changes in train operations. A lot of electronic things, cameras, different things like that, but you see a little thing at the top of cabooses where the people can go up and look out and see how the train's doing, looking for overheating train rails, what's going on. But cabooses are part of train history, and a lot of them are saved and put at restaurants or made into dining cars or Airbnbs, different things like that. And you'll see them in towns, in parks, and so they are being saved, but I know a lot of them got scrapped. But that's all the information about trains. So you should know the cars, a little bit more about trains. Now let's go take a look and see what these things do. Are they worth picking up and selling? And what should I pay for? Do sell-through rate. Now this isn't landing people on the moon. This isn't send them into space and all that down dirty. This is a guideline. This is staying in the rails. That gives you, I look for outliers. Are they too low like QSL cards, 2%? Are they real high like Wiki-Wachi Merwins at 40%? Are they 12%? Is it something above average? And I was thinking, I need to explain what in my head, what I say is low, average, higher there. So I created this little chart going forward. And as you see here, the low ones are 0 to 3%. I shy away from those. QSL cards and stuff like that. I try to stay away from those types of cards. Your Niagara Falls and stuff. You will get them in lots and stuff like that. And then you get your average cards. It falls between 4 and 7%. Those are the ones that will sit, but they're constantly paying the bills, and you constantly just keep moving some here and there. Not real big winners, not losers, but people do buy them. And then you get your high ones. These are high, not very high, high, 8 to 10%. These are a little bit above average. They're going to move a little quicker through the eBay system, is what it shows with the numbers. Everyone's going to have a different, results from it. Doesn't say just because it's high it's going to sell it. You have a better chance than what's happening on eBay at the moment when I do the data and to get the numbers than QSL cards or Niagara Falls. Then you got your very high, 11% and above. Your Disney's 12, your McDonald's 22, Wiki-Wachi 44. Those are the ones that you get them in, move them out for a good price. Your average ones you stock the shelves. So you're stocking your shelves with all different ones. You want to stay away from the red if you can. But when you buy a box of cards, and sometimes you can't go through them all, so basically there's 1,000 cards in a box. I start at $100, and I'm buying 60% of the cards in my mind. There's going to be 40% average in that box that is lower value, lower sell-through rate, or I'm not going to do anything with. So I'm buying the 60%, knowing that I'm going to take 400 of those cards and they're not going to do that much for me, but the 60% is what I'm buying. So that's what you're going to price for. So you can't look at every card. You would be there an hour going through a box of cards. You want to kind of thumb through them and see if you can get 60% is what I do. And that's what these videos are about. When you get a box of cards and I look at them, should I buy it or not? So if you see over 200 videos we have now on postcards and stuff, should get you through those boxes and get you a good return. Might not be the highest return or whatever, everybody's going to have different results, but it should help you more. It helps me tremendously when I do these videos. I get more detailed. I can go through a box of cards pretty quick and say, yeah, I got my 60%, here's your $100. Or this thing's loaded with Wiki-Wachi, here's $120. 10 cents, 15 cents, 25 cents a card, or lower, knowing that I needed some filler cards. Price them, get them cheap, price them low, move some cash flow. So that's kind of what sell-through rate does. But let's take a look and see. My query was postcard trains. That was the best one I did. I did take out depots and some other things, China, plates, and signs popped up. So I cleaned it up as much as possible. I just want to get into the ballpark. There was 11,000 postcards with trains in the title sold, but there's 140,000 listed. Times that by 100 to get a nice percent, so we can look at it. 8%. 8% sell-through rate. Now, as you're going to see here, I think the real photo postcards might be bringing up the sell-through rate. Maybe some mixed keywords and stuff too. So I'm not for sure if this is a true 8% with the average cards or some of the other cards we did. I'm going to give it a range I would probably put it in the average, 4 to 7, even though it says 8, and you're going to see here why. And remember, I'm not trying to land people on the moon or design a rocket. This is just a ballpark where it's not low. They're not low, but they're not very high either. So I bumped it up against some other sell-through rates here. Postcard Railway. Some of eBay, if you look at the numbers, they're pretty close. So eBay does consider railway, railroad, stuff like that as the same. Depends on how it's laid out in the title I saw. Didn't come up with, definite what it's doing, but it kind of had the same cards in some of them. But railway, there was 12,000 sold and 120,000 listed, and it gives you a 10%. So if you have a distinction between railway or railroad, railway seems to be selling more than railroad, because railroad's running at 8%, and if you put the word locomotive, which a lot of the postcards you're going to find, is 6%. But it looks like railway and trains is moving through the system, but they're all still in the average area. None of them are really low. So that gives me a good idea. Okay, that's nothing I should shy away from, but if there's a box full of just all trains, I'm not paying top dollar for it on there. Now, if there's a full box of real photo postcard trains, yeah, I'll pay a little bit more. And why? So let's look at some higher priced ones here. So the first one here is a real photo postcard, Florida D-Land Depot. Now, it did have the word depot in there, but I kept it because I don't see a depot unless it's over on the right side there. This was a train, and it was best offer for $200. Maybe they took $160, $170 for it. And that's a real photo. Next one is also a real photo, and there's people in the front. And it's a steam locomotive, and it has the town Tracy, California, real photo postcard. $160. It was an auction, 5 bids. Free shipping. Then you get the train wrecks. Now, I've sold and have a lot of train wreck cards. A lot of times I don't know where that is. It's just a field with a train wreck and people standing around it. What do you do with those? What do you price them at? It can be different like that. This one here, wreck at Burlington train near Hauser, Idaho. $144. I think it's because they knew where it was. And look at that, it's a passenger car, because we just went through the cars, and there's like a flipped over, and it has the writing on there and some people standing around it. $144. So if you get a train wreck, they do go, but I think you got to have some kind of information where it's at. I think they are above average, but real photos, I think, are driving the prices and the sell-through rate for train cars. So you want to keep your eye on those. And the average price here, what, $150, $140 for a real photo train? And each one of these had the town and the state or the location. Then we get back into the average cards here. And then you see one here, it's an Easter, so you're going to find them on holiday cards, trains and stuff like that. 1908, 29 took best offer, probably 25, 24. Next one is a train in the Narrows. So you're going to see the Narrows, you're going to see the Great Gorge or whatever it is. And this one sold for $24. Not bad. And then I had to put this one in. Things will buck what I say on the sell-through rates. Things will show differently. There is outliers, lower, higher, whatever. I'm just looking at what is the majority doing. You will have outliers. Doesn't mean they're all like that, but this QSL card is pretty cool. And it's radio QSL, probably $20, $24, $25. So some do sell. Most do not. QSL cards are nothing. You don't want to buy a box of those unless they're very ornate or something like this. I don't deal with them. I will put them up if they here and there, but only if they're very special. So the average price for the sold high of these types of cards is about $20 to $24. Then you get over in the low. These are cogwheel train for Pikes Peak. That's a very common card, but it's worth more than $1.20. Then you got a locomotive here, and it has where it's at, $1.95. Then you got $1.95 with the train. Smoke sells. Volcano sell. Lava sells. Smoke. A lot of people say when they see smoke, they'll put in the title underway. Moving. But underway is one thing I saw. All of these cards are not making that much money. They could probably go more. Then we get into something a little different here. I looked at the lots. What was popping up as a lot is lots. A lot of people are lotting up trains more than they're selling them singly on the solds. So I said, let me pick out 3 lots here and just break them down. So this first lot was in an album. Now when you're buying albums like this, one of the things you want to make sure is they're not glued in, taped in, or whatever and stuff like that. This one looks like they're slid in, but the question to this buyer, if it's not in the description, is, are these glued in? I've gotten albums before, and all I can really do is bring it to the flea market and sell it as an album again. Or I could sell it online as an album. So be careful with albums. Plus the damage to the cards from the wrong paper and stuff. But this sold for $70 for 188 train postcards. Locomotives. That breaks down to 37 cents a card. Just wanted to move them. But look at the shipping, $17.10 for an album. Is that a little high? I'm not for sure what that album weighs, but 188 cards is about a pound. With the album, 2 pounds, I don't know if it's $17 worth. That's what people look at if they know anything about shipping. Then the next one is 18. Even small lots sell. $9.95, so $10 for 18 cards. Free shipping. You know, it's still first class. 53 cents each. Then I noticed something here, benefits charity. He's selling it real cheap, and he's giving some money back to charity, which is a good thing. But most businesses don't give to charities unless they're making money themselves. So you want to make sure before you click that charity button that you're doing the charity, and that's you, that's me. When I'm selling something, I'm the charity, and if I have abundance, a little bit extra I can share, I'll do that. But I got to get what I need first. So don't think that's going to get you up in search or anything like that. You just want to make sure that you're getting what you get first, and then you can share. So pay your bills, pay your startup costs, get really good at it. It's not going to move you up in search that much. Then the next one is 21 postcards laid out there, $7. And shipping, it's first class, 33 cents. So in postcard lots, you're getting about 25 to 30 cents a card. So if you get these cards really cheap, throw them in a box, move them out. So you will see a lot of train lots. But if, like me with the Navy ships, I got thousands and thousands of Navy ships. I just put them all up. I sell those every day. Same with trains. If you really do a lot of them, you're probably going to sell a train a lot. But not for a lot, but they do add up. Some up trains, real photos. That's trigger in my head, real photos. Ornate ones. Just be careful. Make sure you get the towns, the railroad lines, the type of cars. Look for ones with smoke. Some action in there. Train wrecks is good on real photos. I don't pass them up. I would love to get a lot of trains, like a 20,000 card collection of trains. That would be great. Just load them up there. It'd take me about 3 or 4 months of, a while to mix them in and get a lot of them up there. And that way when people are looking for trains, I have trains, I have boats and stuff. So I don't pass them up. I don't look at them top when I'm looking through a box. I know it's part of the 40% that probably will sit. Who knew? Let's do something different here. And this is a new analysis I did. I wanted to come up. I always said that postcard people, and a lot of other people say that postcard people leave feedback. If you sell postcards, you're going to get feedback. But what type of feedback? A lot of it's positive. So what I did is I went out. I'm going to show you some numbers here and some graphs, and I'll walk you through it. But I went out and found stores that had postcard in the name. I don't remember the name of the stores. I'm not saying who the stores are. But I took their positive feedback, I took their neutral, and I took their negative. And I put them in categories. And you're going to see that here in a second. But how many and then I did it for non-postcard stores because I wanted to compare the two, see if there was a difference. And we'll get into that in a second, and I'll show you both of them together. But I went out there and I did 100 postcard stores on eBay, and I looked at their feedback, and I put their positive and the total sum of all their positive feedbacks for 100 stores, whatever's in their store is what I took. So 78,238 positive feedbacks. Now I didn't break down the positives. That it would take forever. I started doing it and it's just like they combine shipping and stuff. A lot of people say, well, my shipping's great. Everybody says how great I am. Well, I can tell you, almost a lot of these positives, same thing. Ship great, ship fast, ship great, ship fast. I think everybody does that. So if you're basically shipping on time and you're packaging right, you're going to get that type of message. I wouldn't say you get a gold medal for all that. But the people that, you're going to see a few things here with packaging, and there you'll be surprised at how many there was. But a lot of people say fast shipping, good shipping, fast shipping, good shipping, fast shipping. It's just a common thing. That was 99.88% of the feedbacks were positive. Then I went in and got all the neutrals and the negatives. I broke them in categories, and I tried to make sure I put them in the right spot. The first one was canceled by seller. How many times in the postcard stores did someone cancel a sale because the seller canceled because they couldn't find the card or out of stock? 4. 0.01%. Out of 100 stores and feedback that I saw for neutral, the customer said 4. I would say 3 out of 4 of those, the comments said never heard from seller, just canceled, no communication. Why? So if you are going to cancel, make sure you communicate, and you might not get a neutral, is what I'm seeing on that one. False positive. What is that? When I'm looking through the neutrals, I come up with a theme. They're not really neutrals, they're positive. So it's false. And it should be positive. So I put false positive. 26 of the 57 neutrals were positive feedback. They just clicked the wrong button. So you're going to get that. If it's positive, it's positive. 0.03%. Item not subscribed. INAD. 8.01. Now remember that number, 8. We're going to see a little different than the other ones. So people didn't describe a postcard. What do you do to describe a postcard? You can talk about a tear or something like that. These people were more about the quality of the card. Remember, they're buying a flat picture on 2 flat pictures, front and back, of a postcard. And some people were enhancing their photos than what it was and stuff like that. So it was just quality, or the people, remember, you got to take this with a grain of salt too, that maybe they're fishing for a refund and stuff, but I take it as majority is in the neutral, is good feedback. Then you got item not received. This was a big one, 11.01. Still only 0.01%, but 11 out of 57 neutrals was item not received. They didn't blame, most of it said didn't blame the seller because it was in the mail. Packaging, only 4. Only 4 people talked in neutral about packaging. Price, only 2. Nothing really in there. The ones I did see, I think, were about shipping. They paid for one thing and shipped less. And post office damage. People knew that they couldn't do anything. It wasn't the seller's fault, and 2 of them said that there was damage in the mail. So out of all of these things, U.S. damage is like 2. And everybody talks about how bad the post office is, how bad the sellers. People are running their stores off the 100-year flood. Only happens every 100 years. And they run their stores off it. And they forget about the 99% 99 years that everything goes right. So the damage didn't show up in the sampling that I did. Then you get into the negatives. A lot of people spend a lot of time on this stuff. And look, neutrals is 0.07 of the feedback. And negatives only 0.05. Not even a percent. And people sometimes will spend 90% of their day all upset about negatives and stuff like that. I don't get it. So canceled by seller was a big one. People were very upset because they didn't get communication. That's where the 3 negatives. It still didn't show up as a decimal point of a percent. But that was the biggest one I saw. They canceled, but they didn't get communication as to why or whatever. False positive. There was no false negatives. I didn't see any negatives that should have been neutral or positive. They were negatives in there. And I can only take what was written. I don't know the whole story. Then item is not as described. People said it was a postcard, but it was a print, or a photo was a lot of them. People taking someone's picture and printing them out and saying it's the original and it's not. Or another one was hiding that it was a printed postcard and they felt it was deceptive. Stuff like that is where I put in the description. Didn't talk about a crease or a bent or something like that. Item not received was 21. They were shipped the wrong postcard was, I would say, 5% of that. Part of the shipment wasn't there, or it just didn't receive and they were upset. There was most of the time it was communication about that back to the buyer and stuff. And some sellers got crazy responding, and we'll talk about that in a second. I got some scary seller responses. Packaging, there was no negatives that I could put into the packaging thing in postcards. There was no negatives. Some people talk about packaging is no for using the regular envelopes, the A10 envelopes, and just putting a postcard in there. That wasn't good. In the positive, I kind of looked through some of the positives, and a lot of people did not like tape. Didn't like the packing tape on envelopes. Didn't like it wrapped up in cardboard and had to get a knife. They damaged the card opening it. I did see a couple where they said that the envelopes like I use, the lighter cardboard ones with a sleeve. Some people, majority of them said that in there. But people liked a postcard where it was protected away from tape residue and a little bit better than an A10 envelope. Price, there was no negatives on price, and post office damage, no negatives. So 39 negatives, 0.05%. So that's where it fell out of my sampling of 100. 99.98% was positive. And people get so upset about negatives. Now this is what it looks like when I break it down into a visual thing. As you see, the blue is the neutral and the red is the negative, so canceled in there. The highest one is false positives. People putting positive feedback in neutrals. So you always want to check that. I don't know if I'd fight to get that moved because it doesn't really make a difference. Then your item not described, then your item not received was another big one. There was a lot in there about they don't even know if it was sent. They didn't believe the seller that it was mailed because there was no tracking and stuff. And then your price and your damage is very low. So the ones you want to key in on is description in there. But I wouldn't go in there and just put a big old description and say I shouldn't get these now. It's when you say it's one thing and it's not. When you say it's a real photo postcard but it's not. When you don't disclose parts of it, or you use a different photo, a stock photo and stuff like that, and you're going to see that here in a second. That's where a lot of the description was. The item not received, most of that was more communication, I think, and the customer not getting refunds when it's not received. They had to go to eBay and stuff like that. If there's any messages that I scan through in my messages, I don't respond to a lot of offers and stuff like that, but I do look for, hey, I didn't get my postcard. I will respond to those. Then I went out and I said, I need to bump this up against non-postcard stores. I did my best to make sure these people did not sell postcards. I searched for clothes, shoes, all different things, random. I don't know what the stores are, names. I just clicked on the next one that popped up. Now if you remember, there was 78,000 plus in 100 stores feedback for the same time frame. With this, there was only 43,663, 99.43% were positive. But look at the bottom, 195 neutrals and 59 negatives. So I would say postcard people do leave more feedback, and it's more positive. They are pretty cool, postcard people. But let's walk down the same thing. So these are non-postcard stores, people that do not sell postcards. There might be a postcard here and there, but I didn't see any. I pretty well got away from ephemera totally. Canceled by seller, there was 10. And I'm gonna bump this up with the graphs here in a second. 10. Most of them communication. They was canceled, I don't know why. False positive, neutral, 36. Still having the same problem. People will put positive feedback in neutrals. That's why I put that. Item not described. 99. Postcard, we had 8. And other than postcards, 99 not as described. Now, is that for them trying to get a refund or something? What I was reading, there was some of that in there, but it was more about false descriptions, or not enough, or way too much. Item not received, 20 in the neutrals. That's because they know it's the post office, some of them, but as you'll see, there is 21 negatives on that. Packaging, 17%. Not protected enough, protected too much tape, too much cardboard, too much stuff. They damaged it, opening it up, putting it in bubble mailers. You know, they're sending out breakables in bubble mailers. Is where I saw a lot of that stuff. You know, just put it in the box. All of my stuff, my action figures, my toys went in a box. I didn't play any of that shipping games. I didn't cut flaps. I charged. Shipping is shipping. It's an expense you need to manage. And it's not it wasn't a money maker for me, even though I did with the discount, but it was my time handling and stuff like that. And I charged 50 cents extra for all first class and 75 cents extra for priority to make sure I could use the box and the tape that I use. One strip of tape and stuff like that. I didn't put 5,000 strips of tape all over the place. People knew what they were getting. It was a professional, clean box package. Not with garbage inside either. It had clean fill, void fill, and everything. It wasn't just thrown in the box. And that's what a lot of the packaging stuff on Neutral and stuff like that was. Price. I don't know why people were talking about price. Because when they bought it, they knew the price. But 13% said that. Post office damage, 0. Non-postcard stores, there was nothing to the feedback to the seller about that. Then we get into negatives. 3 canceled. Same, basically there was communication. False positive. There was a negative in there that felt like it was positive. They hit the wrong button. That one I would get removed. I would try to get removed. But still, when people read it, it's going to be positive. So maybe it's a little bit of advertising. Item not as described, 23. So they weren't so upset to put a negative in, but they put a neutral. So 23 people didn't like what they got. It wasn't what they thought it was. Item not received was 21. Communication. Then the refund process. They had to go to eBay to get it taken care of because the buyer wasn't doing it. That's where a lot of that is. Packaging. Over packaging was the biggest one that I saw in negatives. Or not enough. You got to find that happy place there. Again, just the other day, we bought something and I was ready to send it back. It took forever to get it out of the package. I was afraid I was going to scratch it. And stuff like that. I just couldn't believe how they packaged this thing. There probably must have been 2 rolls of tape on this thing. And it was wrapped inside and taped inside and taped inside. It was horrible. I thought I was going to ruin it. So, and we did pay a pretty good amount of money for it too. But it was unprofessional. I was probably looking at this was a repop of something like that, but it was original on there. But it didn't need all that. Price, I don't know why price on there. Unless you argue with them on price, I don't know. But that basically they were talking about shipping and the price of things. And then damage was 0. There was no negatives for post office, so they're not blaming the sellers for that, so I wouldn't get upset. So we had 195.44%, not even a percent, for neutral, and 59 negatives for 0.13. And this is what the chart looks like. What's the biggest one? Description. Saying one thing and shipping another. Was green, not silver. And you're going to see here in a second on some of the scary comments that sellers replied to some of these to customers. Not the buyer feedback, but what the seller wrote back. I grabbed that side of the picture. But item not described. A lot of it was using stock photos, wrong color, shipped the wrong item, and I would say some of this is the buyer wanted to get a refund, so they do this. When they do item not described, it's not a remorse, it goes in there. And then you got the other ones, false positive, people putting neutrals in there. But the other big one was the item not received. That's more. A lot of them still said they didn't know if it was shipped or not. They couldn't communicate with the buyer, the seller. And then packaging. A lot of neutrals. People didn't say it was a negative, but it was a pain to them. Not enough or too much. And then USB damage. So really, it's saying what it is. And here's what they look both together. And if you look at the biggest one in postcard is item not received. The biggest one in non-postcards is item not described in there. So I would really key in on that. And I think the packaging on postcards a little bit more, people are more critical of that. If you look at the packaging, it'd be the fourth one over, and compared to the one on non-postcards, they were more critical about packaging in postcards, overpacking or underpacking. So if you use these little 250 GSM Echo Swift 6 8x4.5 mailers with a sleeve, that's all I do, and I stamp it in the back. I have a link in my video description on eBay that you can order those from. And I have little sample packs in the Ko-Fi store of 10 for like $2 plus shipping if you want to try them. So I'll send out 10 of them to you. And you just pay basically 10 cents a envelope, and then you just pay the shipping if you want to test them and see if you like them. A lot of people do like them. I will pay for those. Then doesn't hurt. But that's the feedback. But what really bothered me the most, and being in customer service for over 35 years, is stuff like this. Scary comments from sellers. Not comments from buyers. A lot of people in the videos will put out there what the buyer said. This is what the seller responded to the feedback back to them. The first one, yeah, and you got a refund. What's wrong with you? They wrote that in the feedback. Yeah, it feels good to do that. But when I go to look at the feedback, what I want to buy to someone I'm going to be controversial with? No, I'm not that type of person. I don't want the conversations. I'm moving on. What's wrong with you? You don't take the emotions into it. Write it down on a piece of paper, but don't put it out for everybody to see. Next one, this guy just wanted to complain. Yeah, it made you feel good, but now everybody knows that you'll be confrontational with them. The trolls are coming in. You're feeding the trolls. Third one, yes, I would be glad to give you a refund if you remove this negative feedback. I think that's against eBay policy. I'm not, if you know me, I'm not the hall monitor. There's other names for people like that in HOAs and stuff. I call them hall monitors, martyrs. I'm not going to go out there and tell this guy, you shouldn't do that and be the police of eBay. I will never do that. I am not the police of eBay. I am not the police of anybody but myself and my family. I'm not going to go tell people they're using the wrong box. They shouldn't use that box because you're costing us money, and calling them out. I'm not that person. I'll let someone else do that. I'm not the hall monitor in there. I'm glad to give you a refund if you remove the negative feedback. That's holding the buyer hostage. Of course that's against some policy. Next one is I've seen a lot. This person complaining that what they got was what wasn't photoed. There was other things with it, and the seller wrote back, this photo is a stock photo from the Associated Parts file. Picture what you're selling. If I'm selling this phone, it's got some scratches on it, show them the phone. If you use a stock photo and you send something that's a little different, you're going to get stuff like this. But I would not reply, this is a stock photo. To me, right there it says lazy if I was a buyer. I want to see what I'm buying. Then the last one, ridiculous. Exactly as described. Full refund provided. Please get a life. Why would a seller respond to a buyer like that? If I was a manager and someone, my salespeople did this, that person would, get the regular warning and stuff, but if they continued, they wouldn't be working for me. You're not going to throw me on a billboard for everybody to see how I do this. But these are your people that will do stuff like that. And I will, if I see it, I probably wouldn't buy from them unless I really, really wanted the item. But it just tells me that there's no system here of business mentality. Sure, it's like they say eBay is like a flea market and stuff like that. But I never let a person and feedback get me to this level. Why do people get so upset about this? It's just someone else's opinion. You have your opinions, and they have theirs. So, but that's my analysis. I hope it helps a little bit, and let me know what you see in there. Because this was a new analysis I did, and I went through it, and I showed you what I saw. But do you see anything different? And remember, these are just numbers I pulled off of eBay. I didn't make these numbers up, but I did give you my opinion, so I'm looking to see what your opinion is. And feel free. to put it in the comments on there. Now we're going to get into viewer comments. This is where I get them in email, YouTube, whatever. If you put them on YouTube, I consider them public. So I can randomly take them out there. I would love to take everybody's comments. I just can't. It would be forever, and I wouldn't get any views. People would be falling asleep on me. But if you do put them out there, they will. Send me an email at contact@shellmarksales.com, and I'll get back to you. If I haven't got back to you, send it again. Hopefully it doesn't go through spams, but I have a special system all set up for everything goes in at contact@SMPostcards.com. Will get that to me. And I'll treat those as private unless you tell me to put it out or if I asked. But the first one I got in, I pulled this out of YouTube. Somebody just came out. I hate being Antique Roadshow, but I will answer questions like this. But a lot of people will send me a question and say, how much do you think this card's worth? And I tell them, I really, you're not going to like the price. Whatever price I give them, they're not going to like. It's going to be too low, too high, because they already have a price in their mind. And I don't know what they paid for it. I don't know how they run their business. I'll just say it's above average. Go out to eBay, lows, highs, you'll see it that I do here. I just hate when people do that. I don't despise them. It's just I hate giving the number because it's never the right number. And I don't want to try to defend that. I have a hard enough time defending my prices. People are just not satisfied. Some people are there. But say they show me this card. I know right away that this card's going to be over $7, $8. They might have 15 in their mind or whatever. But this question is pretty simple for me. Something like this. How much would you pay for 102 Christmas postcards, just ballpark, without looking at them? $10. 10 cents a card. I never seen them. I don't know if they got smoked musky. I don't know if they got Santas on there. I don't know if it's one of those $1,900 Santas in there. Without looking at them, I want to be the one with the best chance of making money. I would even maybe go $5. But he said ballpark, $10 is where I'd start. You really can't lose. 10 cents a card. Sell 2 cards, get your money back. And you got 102 chances. But I'm not going to go out there and pay $100 for 102 cards I haven't looked at. You don't know if they got attic burn, water, and stuff like foreign, or if they're just not, stuff like that. So to take a chance, I'll gamble once in a while, but I probably wouldn't buy it without looking at something on there and ask my normal questions. Smoked musky in an album. They could be in an album they're glued in. So, but with stuff like this, I want everything on my side. So if the seller can't show them to you and stuff, they're lost. I would probably just move on if I can't see. I wouldn't take a chance. Thanks, Gaylord. Next one's from Susie Tribble, 960. Appreciate the information on metal add-ons. As I go backward listening, watching your informative videos as I list my own postcards. I have a metal add-on, deer head, and I have put it to the side because I had no idea what it was. Now I know what words to use when looking it up and when listing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff you're going to find you've never come across. I come across stuff every day that it's like, what is this? You know, I got a picture from somebody in here. I got to look at it again on my MacBook. I don't even know what it is. It looks like a metal bar posted on a postcard. So I want to look closer today at that message. Guys, there's some things in there. I know a little about a lot, and a lot about a few things. But if you don't know what it is, go see if I got a video or ask me a question, and I'll remember if I got a video. I think you can search in YouTube too for it. But yeah, metal add-ons are cool. Just don't put them through your scanner. They won't fit. And it'll probably damage it if it did go through. Are they top sellers? They're considered a novelty. They're called an add-on card, metal add-on. To me, they're considered a novelty. So they're going to be average to a little higher. Depends what's on there. Some of the crests and crosses might do a little bit better, but I don't send them out. Sometimes you can't ship those in a regular envelope because of the metal, a little bit bigger. You might have to go into first class, so that cause that. You'll get them in lots and stuff. Use your best thing, but thanks a lot, Susie, for the nice comments. So the last question I got in an email, and it was kind of a paragraph, asked me a lot of questions. They were considering retiring or quitting their job and doing the reselling full-time with postcards and stuff like that. And so I picked out what I could. as I always said, you can send me questions if it's not too personal. I'll tell you, I have nothing to hide. I'm not looking to break records or do whatever, be the biggest and best of everything. So he said, you have said you retired 4 years ago. Got any tips how you did that, and what is your future goal? Saved. I work for good companies. I got in their 401ks. I put money away. Even when I couldn't, I tried to put money away all these years that I worked. And that way, when I got to a certain point, I could say I could pull the trigger and do it. Now, am I making the money I did before when I worked? No. When you retire, you're on a fixed income. So you got to watch what you did. But we don't have any debt. And so I wouldn't retire if I had debt. If I had debt and stuff like that, I wouldn't retire. So are we watching everything we do? Not close, but we still have to watch what we spend, and we keep our bills in line and our expenditures. And can we do what we want? Sure. Can we buy what we want? Depends. We can't buy the biggest and best car. We buy the average things that will fit our budget. Save. Make sure you have some kind of benefits, stuff like that, and work for a good company. Now, nowadays they don't have pensions like I got, but there's other investments you can do. Nowadays I see 401ks and IRAs, and I think one of the reasons, a couple of reasons why they do that, in my opinion, is pension funds are expensive to manage and fund and stuff, and how they're investing and stuff is not in control of the people in the pension. It's part of the pension management. A 401k, IRA, or whatever they offer you put money into is portable. Pensions are not portable. You work for a company 20, 30 years, you retire, you get it there. 401, you can move from place to place. I think that's a big thing, and the people can invest the way they want to invest. That's why I went to it. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But benefits and stuff like that, health insurance, stuff like that, and getting away. When you go to work, you do your job. When you're off, you're off. Reselling, you're on all the time. I see a lot of resellers work day and night. They're working more than they ever did when they had a job, and they get more stressed out. Yeah, just save what you can, work multiple jobs, watch your expenses. It's really about, you got to have the money, the security when you retire. Next one is, why do you keep doing this and sell postcards? I like it. You got to do something. If you don't keep moving, you're just going to rot. So I like doing postcards. I like learning. The YouTube thing is fun. This video stuff, I've never done it before. And I like the editing. I like the technology. That's my background. And just dealing with stuff in the community that's out there. So I like it. But when I stop liking it, I'll stop doing it. They say the average, one of the big influencers on YouTube, for YouTube help and stuff, said the average lifespan of an average YouTuber is 5 to 7 years. I've been doing it 2 years. So I got 5 more years. We'll see if I make the average. 5 more years would be, mid-60s. So I want to keep doing it. The way I'm doing it, it's not that hard. Will I run out of subjects? Never. There's so many postcards out there. You pick something and you put a system in place, and it's repetitious, sustainable, repeatable processes. It's not work. And stuff. I got room to grow with postcards. I'm almost to the point where I have enough in there and stuff like that. So that's why I keep doing this, and I like it. And you got to keep moving. A lot of people say when you retire, I can't wait, I got all this time. You'll find out. It gets boring, and you don't have all the time you think. You got to have security, though, and that's your consistent income, your health insurance, and debt relief and stuff like that. Once you get that set, it's easier to do. But it's just me and my wife now. My kids are grown and stuff like that, and we're fine. So that's about as much personal I can really get into from that thing. But a lot of people ask me about that. So would I go back to work is another question? Sure. If I couldn't do what I want to do, I would be back out working for sure. On there, I have a certain level I like to be at, and if I had to go stock grocery shelves, I'd do it. It doesn't bother me. I'll go work, get out of the house, and do something. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Here's some fish. Bye.